War! Good God, y'all! What is it good for? It's good for tonight's lesson plan in movies. A cinematic class is about to begin. Your professor is in. Come, sing along with me now. War! Good God, y'all! Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and the purveyor of truth in movies. Had a little fun with that graphic there. I kind of like that. No, I didn't expect you to sing along with me. I'm even happy that you sat through me singing. Obviously, tonight's lesson plan deals with a war movie. It's called The Final Stand. You know, all the way back in the 90s. Oh, Lord. Let me date myself. It might have been the 80s. The barefooted bassist, Sting, sang a song in which he said, "I don't subscribe to that point of view. I hope the Russians love their children too." Okay? No, I didn't sing that one for you. That is the kind of attitude you have to have for this movie. The Final Stand is a look at a decisive battle in World War II from the Russian viewpoint. I tell you what, I thought this movie was pretty good. Now, let me tell you off the bat, this movie is going to be offered in two different versions. You're going to have the English dubbed version, and then you're going to have the original Russian version that you'll have to read. The Russian version, the dialogue is a little bit crisper, and a little bit more native, if you will, for lack of a better term. But the English version works just fine, and they've done a fine job dubbing. It's not like watching a kaiju movie where everything isn't in sync. I don't know how many of you are World War II buffs, but this is actually kind of... and I hope I get this right. You folks know that I have a difficult time with the Slavic names, and I apologize up front if I'm butchering any of this. The Podolsk Cadets, I hope I said that right. It's Podolsk, Podolsk Cadets. And apparently these were a bunch of kids who were in training, most of them under 20 years of age. And because of the Hitler's march toward Moscow, wow, they got pressed into service far earlier than they should have been. And as a result, they're asked to stand up to the Nazi army at a time when, Hitler was really on the prowl. This all takes place in October of 1941, so it's at the height of the war there. And basically what happens is they were told that in order to give the Russian army a chance to come down and meet the Nazi army where it was advancing, these cadets needed to hold this line for 5 days. Well, as we find out in the story, 5 days turned into 12 days, and some of the stories behind what went on here are presented in rather dramatic fashion.
Torch 1002, do you see it?
Confirmed. I see a convoy of enemy armored vehicles. Too many to count. Way too many.
All of our combat-ready weapons have been sent to the front lines. We have only 30 left. Only 12 are reliable. The rest only fire 5 to 6 rounds, if we're lucky.
So the reason The Final Stand actually stands up is, I mean, let's face it, folks, when we make war movies over here, it's not uncommon for us to set up the Russians as the bad guys, okay? And then a lot of times, even in our espionage thrillers, the Russians are the bad guys. I'm sure filmmakers in Russia do just the opposite. They probably make a lot of their war movies where the Americans are the bad guys. But this is a war movie which can play in both countries simply because the bad guys are the German Nazis. And I think there's probably kind of a universal condemnation of the Nazis. So it works. You actually find yourself rooting for the Russians in this movie. You know, what I liked about this movie, and I did enjoy watching it, is the fact that there are a lot of really interesting characters in this movie, okay? And by the time the film concludes, all of their story arcs have been completed, including, a typical lover's triangle is in there as well. Let me give you some of the stars in this. Artem Gubin is our main protagonist. He plays Larov. Larov is he's a gun-ho type of guy. He's the kind of guy that doesn't want to follow the rules and regulations, but he's damn good at what he does, so he's, kind of crucial to his squad. He works in the armory division, is responsible for shooting cannons and stuff like that to take out tanks and stuff. So he's a hotshot, is what he is. But he's central to this battle. Igor Yutin plays a Sergeant Shamarin. The girl who is the object of the love triangle is Masha, and she is played by Lyubov Konstantinova. And finally, Lieutenant Alyoskin is played by Alexei Bardukov. Some of the people behind the camera in this are just as good. Kudos go out to the scriptwriter, Vadim Shemlev. He also is the director. So he wrote and directed the movie, and I think he's really put together a good story here. This movie goes about 2 hours and 16 minutes in length. Normally, that's way too long for my liking. And outside of a little break to refreshen my libation while I was watching it, I was able to sit through it simply because these characters are real rich in their context. Also involved in this is the director of photography, who is Andrei Gherkin, and the editor, who is Leonid Devyatkin. And hopefully I did those names justice. My apologies if I did not. But these guys have all combined together to put together a pretty decent... I can't say this for sure because I haven't talked to the guy, but I have a feeling that Yedem was probably inspired a little bit by the movie 1917. Now, he doesn't do this movie in one single camera shot, so that we don't have to worry about that. But the war movie is presented with the same dramatic feel, if you will, as was done in 1917. This one has that same kind of aura to it, and I really think that helped with the movie all the way. Interesting story, and if you go online and check it out, you'll see that outside of maybe some of the little sidebar plot lines or what have you, the story of what happened in the battle holds pretty true to what they're presenting in the movie as well. I enjoyed this one. I thought it was certainly above average. The movie is called The Final Stand. It's put out by the folks at Shout Pictures, and you can, like I said, watch it either in the English dub, which is done very well, or in the original Russian, if you'd like to hear that flavor and then read the subtitles. I think you'll like this one, especially if it's been a while since you watched a war movie and you want to see one of those. I think this one will do it good. Good characters and a decent storyline. The Final Stand. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.